Daniel's here. Correctivity for homeostasis, and thereby autonomy and sovereignty for European peoples, genus, and species. Okay, I forgot to mention in the last show, which was about me becoming less temperamental and annoyed in this teacherly position with new people in a student-like position who might be raising issues and asking questions that I've answered 1,000 times, or well, hundreds of times anyway, and how an experienced teacher will not be necessarily, should not be annoyed when, with newer acquaintances, or let's call them students, so to speak, are raising issues, but not be bothered by having to repeat so much. It can be annoying in certain ways. It can be annoying, and it can be a bit insulting, like I said. But I actually it's I'd rather look upon it as an opportunity to introduce more people to the important differences being demarcated here. And I forgot to mention, when it came up to this being confronted with this what is a reaction that the YKW would like, which is, quote, I want to get beyond the left-right paradigm. People think that this is really clever. It's in not realizing that it's exactly a default non-position that they would want you to take. Again, firstly, they want you to be, they would like for you to be a liberal, someone who's intent on transgressing boundaries or allowing them to be transgressed. Feeling that and recognizing that there's going to be a natural biological resistance, they want to play into your reaction as a right-winger beyond the correctivity of praxis, either above nature, in seeking warrant above nature, or within nature. Either way, below or above the correctivity of praxis. Social accountability and correctivity. But there's another additional move that right-wingers will introduce at when they're moving past the quote neither left nor right reaction, which that's the third reaction that they want, because that keeps us disorganized. The right-wing reaction obviously keeps us disorganized because it's short on accountability. And it's about thin warrants. It's not based in group unionization and advocacy, in broad ecological kind and disbursement. So neither right nor left. Another option is introduced, the quote third positionist option. And I've said this, I've addressed this many times as well, that the big problem with that, and you'll hear this in Keith Woods and several others, is that it's going to introduce right wing elements that destabilize and provide for means of entryism by enemies into to rupture would be unionization for the truncation of accountability. You're going to introduce natural fallacy, Hitler, if not that, then Christianity and its universalist, otherworldly, who cares about our people anyway, when this lived life doesn't matter and the hereafter is what matters. And by the way, Jesus tells you that you have to hate your family and your kin and love him more than anything. And if you don't, you can't be you're not worthy. On and on. That's another thing that's introduced with third positionism. It can be. Or people think that they have the perfect blend of economic formula. This stuff, whatever's good about these purity spirals of the right, can and should be incorporated as feedback against the calibration of our group interests, which are unionized, characteristically a left thing, left ethnonationalist. And this unionization and its stability will stave off and correct for the ruptures and misdirection. And no account in by introducing these right-wing elements creates a prone rigidity, and it provides means of entryism through these purity spirals, which are rationally blinded to the prioritization of our group boundaries and distinction. So whether you are, let's allow these people in because they converted to Christianity, or I heard alternative hypothesis making the argument that we're better off allowing some non-European geniuses than allowing some of our sub-geniuses to breed. And so you've got an entryism there, which is obviously perilous. It's one that has at least an inroad, which is a different criteria than our family. Because if you treat our people as an extended family, which you should, you can't choose your family that way. You've got to do the best that you can with them. Okay, you try to discourage people who are struggling from having 10 kids, and you try to encourage people who are doing very well to have 2, 3, maybe 4. But you don't say, just as you wouldn't say, well, that guy over there from a different race is a better chemist than my son, therefore I'm going to put my son down the 86 list and replace him because he's a better chemist. This is we're defending ourselves. We're not defending chemistry. And by the way, we do pretty well. Okay. Overall. So we're not going to go with alternative hypothesis suggestion there. All right. So that's what I said. Like I said, coming back to that importance, that distinction. I just wanted to add that because I needed to. I mean, in the reactions that our antagonists want us to take, number one, of course they want us to be liberal, to open our borders and boundaries, or to be about transgressing them. Failing that, and recognizing that there will be, on a more biological level, there's just going to be resistance to, there's going to be a biological urge to maintain boundaries, if not borders. And because they're more adroit rhetorically, and we tend to react scientistically, and they know that, and they know that that's rigid and limited of accountability. We're seeking that's just the way it is arguments to make a quick argument, as opposed to against their rhetoric, trying desperately to shut it down, seeking pure warrant beyond nature or within nature, below or above the correctivity and accountability and social accountability of praxis. They can manipulate us as right wing. That's why they call us our identity right wing or far right. They want us falling into those niches because that's the depth grammar of the right. It's about objectivism. Oh, that's why you hear all these people say we care about the truth and we care about nature. And we care about God. Or not just let's have monarchy again. Just one guy is the exception. Something like the Lord should be taking note and asking, why do they want us to identify as right wing? More specifically, why do they want us to be against the left? And and then if you're penetrating enough, well, I have been anyway enough to get into the depth grammar, you will see that in the depth grammar of the left is the concept of unionization of the people and coalition building on that basis, social advocacy and organization. They don't want us to do that. So again, if they can't get you to have you outright being a liberal, screwing our people over right from the get-go, then they'll have you stupidly and somewhat less directly screwing us over as a right-winger. You might just naively go along with it, or you might be selfish and disingenuous, as many are, and just say, well, I'm above it all. I'm just so objectively wonderful. After all, the YKW have told me. And that's why I'm screwing my people over. Well, that's why I don't owe them any more account. Okay, then. As things become totally screwed up with this objectivism, which is the default of modernity, both liberals and right-wingers, they're both functioning on this objectivist basis. And neoliberals, which are kind of another side of right-wingers. The neoliberals are just, they're pandering, they're giving a bullshit line to the liberals. They're like corporatists. They give a bullshit line to the liberals, while the right-wingers are like corporatists who pander to the so-called conservatives. One panders to the Democrats, one panders to the neoliberals pander to the Democrats, and then the right-wingers pander to the Republicans, like kind of thing. And liberals are basing their argument, their capacity, their license and their licentiousness and their transgression of borders and boundaries on the same objectivist basis. Well, I'm just, so wonderful. That's just the way it is. The laws of nature kind of thing. Any of those positions, any of those, the right-wing and liberal position, destructive to our borders and boundaries and where our enemies want us to be. That's why they want us identifying as right. Right-wing, far-right, dissident right, alternative right. That's fine. They added a new wrinkle as of 2008, wherein the left, the characterology of the left became the enemy, and they had us chasing the red capes of the left that they created, taking our ideas, which are, taking social organizing and advocating ideas, which they've applied for non-whites and against the interests of whites, and making them absurd, red caping them, making them ridiculous. This is very important to understand, which is why it became a little bit like, it was unfortunate that Snorkel said, well, we don't need all that. We just need to know what's evil. Well, okay. Patience. And it's, it's more, there's more that needs to be known than that too. But And then if you're not going to be, if when once our people begin to note the destruction that comes about, to not articulated by them from this modernity and weaponized modernity and reaction, they begin with this. They begin flowing this sophisticated, quote, sophisticated idea that we have to transcend left and right, the phony left-right paradigm, which our antagonists would like as the third reaction, because what you're doing there is you are helping to keep us disorganized and helpless, not recognizing the depth grammar of the left as unionization, coalition building, social organization, and advocacy. They want you saying neither left nor right is like saying, you're a mishmash. And third positionism is like taking that mishmash and introducing right-wing elements into it, which solidify it into rigidity and the means for entryism of our enemies. So that's another reaction that they'll be just fine with. And why they don't want us to identify as left ethnonationalists in the sense that I am saying. And why I could be if I didn't altercast Tor as say just a new acquaintance. Let's say a new student. He might not take kindly to being looked upon as in somewhat of a student relationship in this situation, but well, he should. Because, like I said, I can tell by some of the things that he said that he's not ahead of the curve. He doesn't need to, he's not in a position to just move right past what I'm saying and go right to the sources as if he's going to find cut and paste, me cutting and pasting. No, I've, through years, not only cultivated what I've, from ideas from varied sources, I've actually made new inferences and important differences from them that you're not going to find in my sources, and you would have to see the merit of as they make continual sense. What I'm saying makes continual sense cross-contextually over various issues. And so you have to hear this a few times in order to understand that and to appreciate that. And to see how it's not just like needlessly confusing or turgid language that I'm using. It's not. It's expository language, and expository distinctions that I make, and very carefully considered distinctions. Again, I could be insulted, but I shouldn't be. I should be taking the position of, like, an older teacher who's coming across students who aren't familiar with my material and are not realizing, what they're saying, and not realizing how and why to appreciate what I'm saying. As not needlessly verbose, as some people would have tried to say. Okay. I see another person has popped on. Should I put in I'll put in the link in case somebody wants to join, and I'll do it 5 minutes, but really that's what I needed to say. I need to add the stuff about the third positionism, because that's a real nuisance. That's like, often people are trying to introduce, Hitler into the equation, or Jesus into the equation, or maybe just Darwin into the equation. Oh, but what add to, or not naturalistic? I shouldn't say Darwin. Not natural fallacy into the equation, which is Hitler's a branch of that. Which is what we don't want, and which is part of the reason why it's important to be explicit left ethnonationalist, and definitively, so it makes it definitively clear to exclude these low account, if not no account, positions for their destructive rigidity, easily manipulated, easily infiltrated. There's the link. I'll give it a few minutes. If for some reason somebody wants to join. Otherwise, again, I'll adjourn until probably this weekend, when I hope to be joined by Per Norden, Snorkel Blog, and Mirth Baron. All really smart guys. And, when I was your age, I knew less than you do. So, I mean, I knew about things, I had experiences, and wasn't a complete idiot, but certainly, what I'm trying to say is that if I say to one or any of you, come on, guy, hear this. You don't know this yet. It should not be an insult, and because I wouldn't have known these things at your age either, or been able to wrest them, these concepts from the morass, shape and craft them for ethno-national interest, safely free from positions that could be stigmatized and penalized by our enemies, because they are solidly morally grounded. There's a third person there. Angela G says, yes, I hear you good. Angela G, do you want to talk? There's the link. Because I see you here, and I hadn't planned on a long show but I'm happy to talk to somebody. Angela, that's a nice name. I had an Aunt Angela. I think if I have a daughter, I might name her Angela. Yes, I like that name. Like Angela and Sophie and Daphne for a girl. Oh, we have another. What's the topic? Well, we can feel it out by talking about what might be of interest to you, Angela. What kind of things are of concern, of interest to you? And I might be able to tell you what tends to be my angle on that, and where I might be able to contribute and foster your interests. Thank you. I actually like my name, and it's rare. Yeah, it's a great name. I have, on top of my the Christmas tree top ornament, I have an angel who is named Angela, of course, and it was given to my family by my Aunt Angela. I'm not sure how I found your channel, but I'm subbed. Did you do anything with the Vegas shooting community? No. Didn't talk about that one. I did talk about Buffalo and how absurd that was. this guy, and as an example of why people need to get out of the right. How did you get your name, Angela? You've got to be either Italian or Spanish. But yes, the Buffalo shooter. This is the kind of thing. This is the right wing, and why you need to get out. They're not finding hope in correctivity, in social correctivity, under these right-wing rubrics. Are you Italian, Angela? Here's the link. Say hi. Anyway, if you will. Love to talk to you. The Las Vegas thing, that was a while back. Are you in Las Vegas? Oh, the Vegas shooting community. I didn't understand your question. Does that mean people were discussing the nut job who shot 57 or 50 some odd people? I guess you would need a community to come through that kind of trauma. Well, it's a good channel to be curious about, Angela, because this is actually the best and most important platform out there. There's a reason why I'm not popular. It's because the enemies of our people. People don't want this to be popular. I don't know how much of it you've been taking in, but even if accidentally, you've done yourself a good turn coming here. Because I've worked hard to wrest from various sources and experiences exactly the understanding of what's going on now and from our philosophical history, what it is that we need. My mom loved that name. I'm a Caucasian Heinz 57 LO, 50 years old. Well, that's fine. You're a cougar. Heinz 57. Which what's the admixture there? There's got to be some Italian with a name like Angela. Unless your mom was enamored of Angela Davis. was she? Was your mom a radical terrorist? Irish, Portuguese, Indian, and English. Well, that's great. That's a beautiful combination. I think Irish tends to blend with things well. I had a half Irish, half Italian girlfriend at one time. Quite beautiful. Indian's going to be. She was a hippie. Well, I told you. I mean, I don't know if you've heard. I talk a lot about the hippies, and I talk about them in a way that nobody else does. And my older siblings were hippies as well. My brother, I remember him going to Woodstock. My mother asked him, "Do you have enough food, beer?" "Oh yeah, Mom, I got a can of tuna fish." He was 16 years old. He went to Woodstock and never came really home much at all after that. He was draft dodging the Vietnam War after that. My sister was a hippie, a young one, and she introduced me to all that really cool music. You were old enough during that time. I would have went to Woodstock, and I would have hung with Janis Joplin. Hopefully not gotten strung out on heroin like poor Janis. She was just a baby. Tragic. Yeah, I remember my sister with Janis Joplin and Big Brother and the Holding Company album. Was it? What's the name of the album again? Forget. What state am I in? Right now, I'm in Poland. I'm from New Jersey mostly. Lived some in Massachusetts, some in California. I can move around and entertain visitors as well, though. Not like really stuck here. I like it here. Why don't you come on? Talk to me, Angela. Really. Let me know. I want to talk about the DNA nations concept. I want to see what you think of it. Are you interested in genetics and in preserving the different species? So really, it's an extension of the concept of if you're interested in if you're a hippie type and you're interested in the preservation of ecology, of rainforests, then why wouldn't you be? Of the oceans, of the animal species. Are you interested in preserving the species of human? Well, this is a means to do it. Oh wow, Poland. Yeah. Well, my mother was of Polish extraction. I'll go by Daniel Sienkiewicz is my mother's maiden name. My father's was of Italian extraction. Both were born in America, but in New Jersey. But my grandparents came from Italy on my father's side and Poland on my mother's side. And so I found America hard to tolerate, and that meant finding identity in Europe with either one or the other side, Italian or Polish. Poland turned out to be the more practical. But it's nice. Where I live is really, really nice. I have a nice apartment right near the old market square in the medieval city of Poznan, Poland. Surprisingly nice. You wouldn't have a lot to talk about with that. Well, let's talk about, okay. We can talk about something else. We can talk about anything you want. I'm up for a new interlocutor. It doesn't matter if you don't like it, if you're too shy. You've been in California your whole life. Tell me about it. Tell me about how it was, how it is now, if it's still okay with you. I'd love to hear about it. We can't replace these on the ground reports and experiences. There's no replacing it, Angela. Press that link and come talk to me. It doesn't matter, even if you talk bad, I'm not always talking smoothly, everybody knows. Don't be shy. I don't bite. I'm here to shine your star, not to diminish it. What part of California? Are you north or south? Is that natural red hair or is it dyed? I see you have very white skin. That's nice. That's one of those things. People should not. Women who have very white skin should not get tan. It's beautiful. This is going to be controversial what I say, but there's nothing so naked as a naked white woman, a very white woman. That's naked. And that's thrilling. With your wife, of course. Or if you're looking at softcore porn, which I've been chided. I was thoroughly denounced for putting up pictures of semi-nude women on my Twitter thread. And maybe not. Maybe that wasn't wrong. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't want to make people feel bad who aren't manifesting this kind of eternally youthful form or something. Hi,
Hi, how are you?
great.
Good. I'm at
Glad you
work,
came.
so yeah, I'm at work, so
Oh,
you have to mute and answer the phone or whatever, but I can talk for a few minutes.
excellent.
Yeah,
What part of California are you in?
I'm in Santa Cruz County.
Is that near Santa Cruz proper?
I don't know where that's at.
Well, Santa Cruz, right? Santa Cruz
Yeah,
County.
yeah, I'm in Santa Cruz County.
I want to hear more about you in a second, but I have a funny story about Santa Cruz. The
Cool.
only the only time that I was there, I was walking down the boardwalk,
Oh
and they
yeah.
have, I don't know if they still have a sky ride there by the boardwalk, but at the time they did, right?
Okay.
And I turned around to I heard somebody go, no, no, no. I turned around and looked up, and there was this kid dangling on the edge of the sky ride, and he
Oh my
fell
God.
out. He fell out. It's a long plunge on
Wow.
the beach. He just missed the boardwalk. He fell on the beach. This big and this disgusting thud, and this big spray of sand went up as he impacted, and then he stood up in this kind of hysterical, spastic reaction for a moment, and then
Oh,
flopped back down again. I
oh my,
moved on. The ambulance came, but I don't know if
oh
he,
my
I don't know if he lived.
gosh.
And it's
Oh
hard.
God.
He's probably taking LSD. It's one of these Santa Cruz people.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, we have a lot of tourists though, lots and lots of tourists that, go around the boardwalk. I stay away from those. I'm not a big theme park kind of person like that. I don't like to be
Hmm.
around all those people running all over and making a bunch of noise and kids
Yeah,
going everywhere. And it's
I can
just,
understand that.
yeah. And then the traffic is crazy. So I'm just not, yeah.
Now, you
I'm
said
not,
you've been there all your life.
yeah, I have. Yeah. I have
Have
a
you seen
video.
Have you seen it change
Yeah, for the worse.
for the worse?
Yeah.
So,
Like the first
yeah.
time ever, I want to move away from here. Yeah.
Wow. And it used
Yeah.
to be pretty idyllic, right?
Yeah. I used to actually love the town I lived in, and now I can't even stand to live in the town I've lived in forever. I mean,
Oh, so well, all this talk that's going on is, is resonating with you. I can, or something.
right. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's just the politicians around here. They just want to build in this little tiny ag town. They want to keep packing people in here.
Ugh,
Nothing to do. There's nothing to do here. The roads are small and they just want to pack people in here, you know.
mhm.
Like we have a lot of old Victorians around here and a lot of
Oh, they're
regular
beautiful too.
homes. And then now they're just like packing in these apartments and low income housing and, with nothing to do. They're not
It's
making the roads
disgusting.
bigger. Yeah, I
Those
can't stand it.
developers, they can make a lot of money selling and renting these places, and
Yeah, and then they get discounts if they do those low income or what,
ugh,
So I'm just not, yeah, I'm just not happy living here. And through the pandemic, I realized that my city and the county I live in are complete followers. I emailed them numerous times. I Facebook messaged my city. I left them comments on their Facebook with questions about what they were doing and why. And nobody would answer me. Not one answer. I couldn't get one. I wanted long-term studies of certain things. I wanted to know why they were doing certain things, and nobody would even reply to my questions, not one person.
What? Talk about no accountability.
So it's like, well, I'm not voting for anybody again anyway. I'm done. The politicians, the last 2 years, what I've seen them all do have completely ruined voting for me. Completely. They showed me that no matter what, they can take your business away. They can force you to wear things on your face against manufacturer's intended use, which may cause injury or harm. Nobody's addressing that. Nobody's addressing, parental rights kind of getting more taken away with these kids being forced to be a part of this.
That's ridiculous. I agree with that.
The kids are being forced, and the parents are allowing it. The parents are allowing these kids to be abused in our schools now. If they didn't want to get tested, the
schools are held. The public schools are held generally.
They scream and cry because they didn't want to do it. And there's the teachers and everybody standing around. Well, if you don't do it, you're not going to get to come to school and see your friends. To me, that's emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And parents are going along with it. And that's what I cannot stand.
Well, let's just try to rein it in, because, as you know, this is a taboo topic for YouTube.
Yeah,
but you've been really skillful. You've been really skillful in the way you spoke about it, though. I don't want to believe it.
I have my own channel, and I have talked about this a couple times, but you just have to be very careful on how you do talk about it.
You did it amazingly.
So thank you.
Where are you planning to go after California?
I don't even know. I have my daughter and my grandson here. So, if they go, I'm going. But I won't go without them.
Uh-huh.
So
how old?
What was that?
How old?
My daughter is 29. She'll be 30 in December. And then my little grandson just turned 3.
Does she want to stay in California?
I don't know. She's still, young enough to where she can, decide. But we don't really know. We haven't thought that much into the future yet. I just know I don't like where I live.
I know. I found, for me, speaking for myself, you can't escape America in America.
Yeah, that's for sure. I just wish the people that wanted to be controlled would move, like to China or I wish those people would move. Yeah,
of course.
And like our governor over here, I wish he would go help them run China. He'd be better. He'd do a great job. He would do a great job over there. See, you just got to watch how you word it. See?
Yeah.
You praise them, but then give them another place to go. Hold on just a second.
No problem. Angela is fun, yes.
I have a delivery right now. So I'm going to write a check out for the driver. Here we go.
A check? That's an ancient technology.
Yeah, we use that here with the business. These places, some of these suppliers, I order slabs. We do countertops, marble, granite, quartzite, quartz, all that stuff.
Oh, great. Cool.
Yeah. So, so we order these for our clients, and then we have them brought in. And some of these suppliers don't have ways to pay online still. So when the material gets delivered, I then go ahead and write a check and give it right to the driver. And then everyone's happy. Do you work?
Kind of semi-retired, actually.
Okay. Well, that's nice. That's nice. What's your age group, if you don't mind me asking that?
Older than you.
Older than me? Okay. All right. That's funny.
I'm like a girl that way, shy about my age, but I feel good. I really do.
But you're shy about your age? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm like a girl
Oh.
that way, but I'm never. But I've never felt better.
Well, that's what's important. You know, that's what's important is that
Yeah.
you feel good where you're at. That's the important thing, you know?
But I'm also and where I'm at is good. And I was looking at some really affordable housing in Italy these days. And buy a second or get a second place there.
Oh, wow. That would be cool to see that place. I
Yeah,
bet that's neat. So you travel then and stuff like that.
not so much lately, but I
Okay.
have, and I'd like to get back to it.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. I don't travel. I work and go home. That's about it. Work and go home.
You know, it can be good too to be settled.
I'm a homebody. I like being home. People piss me off out in the world nowadays. It's best that I
Oh yeah.
don't. You know, I just people are
Sartre didn't have many good things to say, but when he said "hell is other people," he was kind of spot on.
yeah. So when I deal with people all day at work and employees and different things like that, so it's kind of like I'm fine to just go home. There's enough for me to do inside or outside. You know, I order everything online. It comes right to my doorstep. So I don't overspend anymore. Like when I used to go to Target, you know, you go in for 2 things, come out with $300 gone. So now I just order online and I go in the search bar, order what I need and have it delivered. Boom.
You could put on some shoe block and go into Target and just loot the place.
Yeah,
And
I don't even go near the parking lot. Heck no. It just
well, if you stole, how does it work now? If you stole less than $1,000 worth of goods, you wouldn't even be prosecuted, or maybe you would.
I would. Yeah, helicopters would end up over my house. Trust me. I swear, it wouldn't happen to anybody else but me. Trust me. It would just go down that way. I'd end up tased and dead and all kinds of stuff. Just wouldn't even be worth it.
Where does one go? So it's still, I'm eager to try to coax out where in the United States could you go besides California, or would you have to move out of the United States? Period.
No, I don't know. Somewhere where they're not taking all of our rights away. So
why don't you move to Bora Bora or Tahiti or something like this?
I'd be really fine in a little log cabin with fixed up land down by a lake and with a garden. It has to be legal for cannabis because I grow cannabis and I educate people on cannabis on my channel. So I have to be able to have all of those rights. And I literally would love to live in a nice house by the lake with a nice garden and a lot of redwoods. And that would be my ideal place to live.
So in Northern California, state of Jefferson, right?
Oh, I just recently heard about that through another friend. They're trying to make something the state of Jefferson, and it sounds pretty good to me.
Well, that's an old idea that sort of got.
I just heard about it from a friend the other day.
It got knocked out of consideration by World War II, I think, but they were floating that for a while. You can move up there by the.
Again, my friend just said they're trying to do it again.
Yeah,
and he lives in New Zealand. Yeah. He's in New Zealand. So that's the cool thing about this YouTube platform thing is to meet people and learn from people and
absolutely,
communicate with people all over the world. And some people I've known since 2017 and I still talk to them every day.
This is like it's a huge advantage. The internet is life with the internet is much easier and much preferable.
Yeah.
I didn't know how much better it was going to be.
How long have you been on YouTube for? Like on it, not just having an account, but like doing shows and stuff.
I haven't been very long in doing live streams.
Okay.
I appeared with others occasionally, probably just a couple of years.
Okay. Okay.
But I've done like pre-recorded things and put them up.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
a while.
Right.
And I've had websites since 2004.
Okay. Was your channel named something else before?
I used to be at Majority Rights.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, it's not like a big deal or important, but I'm just trying to figure out how I became a sub to your channel. Like, where did I find, like, what was I clicking on? You know what I mean? I must have been.
Well,
it's like usually you cross pocket, right? Usually, I mean, with the other channels I'm sub to, I've cross pocketed because of this group or this pocket or that chat kind of thing.
I've been associated with like a lot of. I'm not alternative right, but I've been vague, like roughly associated with a lot of those people. People now calling themselves dissident right for a while now.
Yeah, I don't think I know what
that's called Majority Rights. Before that, I was at the Voice of Reason Network. Yeah, I've been around with some pretty well-known people. So there are different ways that you could have come across me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you say did you just say you're an extremist, right? Or did I take
no,
that?
No, God, no.
Oh. Okay. Sorry.
Matter of fact, my bread and butter is articulating how it is that we should be something. Our position should be left ethno-nationalist, and I see the right-wing identity as a trick, alter casting by our antagonists. They want us to identify as right because there are ways they manipulate us. I was explaining earlier in the show. I don't want to go into it.
Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
not anything. No, not right at all.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I know some people, identify with one thing.
Well, this is the framework that they want the normal people to occupy, and also the dissidents to occupy. Want them to identify as right and argue against the quote left, which is a characterology that's come out of some kind of Madison Avenue type affair. Because, well, I mean, you didn't used to hear people arguing against the left so much until 2008. And certain folks didn't want anybody getting any big ideas to challenge them in their hegemony, as they might if they organized.
Right. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, the left in its depth grammar is generally about social organization, advocacy, unionization of sorts. And coalition building. And so they don't want us to do that. They don't want us to understand that that's the depth grammar, which could be applied for European peoples too, not only against European peoples, not only, as it is in internationalist Marxism and Frankfurt School ideology, where they built coalitions of people of color against whites. And so, right, and so that's become to our enemies. Well, that is the left. That is the left. This is what the left does. And they take all these these exaggerations and these perversions of these concepts of social advocacy that's been deployed in their favor and exaggerated in their favor and weaponized against European people made that some conveniently the target itself, the left, as if, and stepped up their encouragement of our identity as right wing in reaction to this, because they want to us to ally with them against any would-be organization against their hegemony in, let's say, 7 to 9 niche positions of power and influence: religion, money, media, politics,
Right.
Business, international business, and other NGOs. Let's say academia, law and courts. Maybe I'm forgetting one, but they have disproportionate power and influence there. And they don't. One of the big differences between this platform and, say, David Duke or some of the other people who are saying it's all them. Of course, any sensible person would know that a big part of our problem is our traitors, and even worse, perhaps, are the vast majority of our people who don't care. And these sorts, whether they're right-wingers or liberals, are operating really on the same basis, taken for granted basis, that is not about organization, but it's about objectivist arguments. That's just the way it is, whether it's beyond nature or within nature, but below social accountability and social correctivity.
Mm-hmm.
So they're easily manipulated or bribed. In the case of the right wingers, like these politicians that you're talking to,
Yeah.
they're not accountable to people. They want to believe they're just objectively superior, and they'll be happy to take the payoff. Let's put up these housing tracts that we can sell and rent, and but still, it's the YKW that are greasing the palms, taking the initiatives, and setting the agenda. But these right wingers are happy to go along with it, and as are the liberals, who are happy to or will enjoy the license and the licentiousness of
Mm-hmm.
limited accountability on the basis of objectivist arguments, because that's the death grammar of the right. They want to say that's just the way it is. I'm just so beautiful, so I can fuck half the world and have
Mm-hmm.
babies that can't pay for, that sort of thing. You see,
Right.
but they're happy. They're happy with that.
Oh, I see Mirth in there.
Mirth is a good guy. Mirth is a very good guy.
He says Angela is fun.
Yeah, he's perceptive, so he would know that.
Nice. Yeah, I like to have fun. I do. I love to have fun. Definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, you can.
I don't want it to sound like I'm a prude either. But I'm sure that you can agree that there's some people who are at the other extreme, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like to just kind of be in the middle.
Well, balance.
Yeah, I like being in the middle.
No less than Aristotle would.
I'm very opinionated. Very opinionated. If it's on like topics I feel super strong about, I can be really opinionated.
Well, I'm opinionated about ecology and maintaining the environment. I don't like the way these right wingers denounce all this, everything green,
Yeah,
as if we shouldn't care.
right. Yeah, those ones I wouldn't even be able to discuss it because I don't know enough about, like, those aren't my topic or subject matter kind of things. I'm glad there are people like you out there that
What do you what? So what do we? Okay, but you have your passions, your passionate concerns.
Oh yeah, totally. Like
I was just
like
taking a
we all
stab at
do.
that. Maybe one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, like we all do. I mean, it's like there's so many hours to research certain things in the day, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like I'm probably not going to go researching that because it's not like on my top, things that are in my mind that like I want to do. Or for my channel, I do random topics on my channel, and then I also educate people on cannabis and cannabinoids and
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I should have asked you more about that. So in Northern California, you could grow cannabis,
yes.
and
A lot of it's grown where I live. A lot of the products are actually manufactured right here where I live and sent around to different dispensaries.
it hasn't been all that long that it's been legal.
Well,
That
it's
must be
been, I
important.
mean, I got my medical card. I can't even remember when, because California, I mean, we've had it legalized for medicinal for many, many years now. I can't even remember when.
My brother and brother-in-law smoked every day, or still
Mhm.
smoke every day, irrespective.
Yeah, I smoke every evening when I get home. And I also take some, I've been doing some research on the gummies. And so of course I bought a bunch of those. I did a show on ratios as well and
What's
gummies.
what's what's a gummy?
A gummy is like a little tiny, like hard gelatin like gummy. It's like
Oh, so it's like resin.
no, it's like
What?
let
It's
me
like
see.
hash oil.
No, 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 no. So it's a piece of chewy candy, like
Oh,
a
with
gummy.
cannabis. Oh, that
Yeah,
sounds good.
yeah, it's infused, and so you can get different ratios. Like if
Oh,
you
wow.
want hardly any THC, you can get those. Um you can scroll around like when you're bored, scroll around in my videos, and you can see which ones, the educational type ones.
I know that marijuana is much stronger than it used to be.
Well,
Um,
the good thing about it is over here it's tested. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back.
that is good that it's tested, because some of the stuff, some of the marijuana that you can buy is got all
I
kinds
have
of
to put you on
sprays
hold.
on it.
I'll be right back. I have to
Okay,
mute.
no problem. Remind me to ask her about this. Now, there's two major strains of marijuana. Was it sativa and indica, I think? And one is more psychological, and one was more kind of like relaxes your body type of thing. I think it's the one from India that is more relaxing of the body, and the one from South America that's more psychological. I have to be honest though, of drugs, I prefer. I don't remember the last time I smoked marijuana. It's been years. Um, I prefer mushrooms. I haven't done them in years either. But if I had my choice, or if I could be bothered, do I smoke? No, not really. I mean, if somebody had some and offered me to smoke, I would, but I don't go out of my way for. I don't go out of my way for it. I no. I smoked in high school, not during college because I had to keep my head clear. A little bit after college, a little bit here and there at times I had some friends who were smokers, and so I would smoke with them. I'd wind up smoking some over the course of a couple of years, but that's now years ago. I used to have an occasional cigar, but then it was producing these ominous like bumps in my mouth, and I was like, I don't want to go the way of Babe Ruth, who died of throat cancer. If you passed me a joint, I'd have a toke. Yeah, I'm the same way. I would too. I guess there's several things that I would do if you passed me, but I would not go out of my way for it. I may go a little bit out of my way for mushrooms, but not much. I don't know them to be around, so I'm not in Holland. I'm going to talk about this in a second. When Angela comes back, I want to mention this to her because, well, I found mushrooms much easier to tolerate psychologically than marijuana. Marijuana is like the psychological kind of can be oppressive. It can be kind of almost maybe harrowing is too strong of a word, but not even that. With some of the skunk can be harrowing. You got to be prepared to handle it. It's not something for a teenager who doesn't have their forebrain and their synapses up there well developed. So it'll just blow it away and put you into kind of a fretful state of mind, or if you can call it a state of mind, a fretful condition can. But I guess if you have the neurons in place, I can see it being very relaxing too. Mind oil, as they like to say, the smokers. Angela's mom was a hippie. Not nice if you really get paranoid, but what is the point if you just fall asleep? Well, you might get the munchies and eat the refrigerator. Marijuana is not a passionate issue with me. I'm not really against it or really for it. I do think that young people should be careful though, because it's more. I think it's more powerful than, or can be more powerful than it's given credit for. For example, I as a teenager, if I was high on marijuana, I could not talk to girls, and I was not developing the skills. I was just sort of like off in my worries. It wasn't practical in that sense. It wasn't the only thing going on in my life that made things difficult in terms of interpersonal skills, but it didn't help. Makes people lazy, perhaps. I don't think it made my brother lazy. He would work under those conditions, and also my brother-in-law ran his business despite being a smoker. But yeah, probably a lot of people it does. But it's weird, lazy and the mind is like sometimes off into 1,000, physically lazy, but mentally belaboring a myriad of worries. So you only appear lazy. People are accusing you of being lazy, and at the same time, you're like fucking, frantic. Or I was. I could be. As I got older and more mentally organized, then I was able to enjoy it. I was, laugh at the waves of proposed worry that came at me through the intoxicant. But as a teenager, no. Some talk about how it.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Welcome back.
What happens when I'm on a panel at work?
Huh?
That's what happens when I'm on a panel at work.
No problem.
Do you smoke? If you pass me a joint, I'd have a toke. Not
Yeah, so we were talking about weed and how it is that I was saying that I don't go out of my way for it, and I haven't like smoked in a couple of years, but I've gone through patches in my life where I had smoker friends, and so if they had some and they went to smoke with me, I would smoke. In high school, it was a problem for me. It made me very shy. I couldn't talk to girls, and I don't think it was good.
This is real different. You can actually pick different strains to do different things. So like when I get home from work this evening, I'm going to smoke one that is creative, focusing, and uplifting so that I could start my evening stuff.
Neat.
Yeah, and I'm working on some stuff for a show right now.
Let me just ask you one question before you elaborate on that, because I do want to hear you elaborate on that. But my understanding is fundamentally, there's been two strains. One from India, which was I don't know, indica or sativa, and it was more of a bodily thing. And one from South America, which was, I think, sativa, and it was more of a mental thing. Is that true?
It's a little different now. So it used to be that if you said indica, you were talking about a huge body high, couch lock, fall asleep, be lazy. Sativa, go get things done. But now it is a little different because the strains are getting crossbred to...
Something happened with your sound. I can hear you, but you sound like you're far away.
Okay. I'll have to leave and come back on. That's just what happens sometimes, unless I can fix it right here.
No, you're okay now, I think.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's back to normal.
Okay. This does that in StreamYards. So when I get on a panel on my phone, if I sound like I'm in a tunnel, you just tell me, and then I know what to do to fix it.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was your... Okay. So an indica, like I have an indica right now, and it is a creative, focusing, clear-minded strain, and it is an indica. And then there are some sativas, like Blue Dream sativa, that makes me sleepy, and it's not supposed to.
Oh, so that's like the reverse of the old pattern.
Because
they're interbred now, huh?
Yeah, so the strains aren't cut and dry anymore. Like, even if it says sativa, I'm pretty much going to guarantee 99.9% it's a hybrid. So it's going to be crossed with a few strains, and maybe it's 60% sativa with the remaining indica, or it might be an indica dominant where you're going to get more percentage of indica, but then the rest is sativa.
Is the skunk still the strongest breed, and which is that, indica or sativa?
Or usually skunk. So they wrap everything. So there's an app called Leafly, and I use it on a regular basis. It's an app right on my phone, or you can go to Google, but I have it on my phone because I use it so much. Let's see what it says about this. So there's so many skunk strains now. There's lemon skunk, island sweet skunk, super skunk, skunk one, skunk bags, Okie skunk farms. There's all kinds of skunk strains.
And White Widow is like the next strongest, I think, right?
White Widow is really good, but you can't really say it's the strongest. You have to look at, okay, so I could put this in.
Well, strong isn't necessarily good. Some of that stuff can be too strong.
Well, that's why you look on Leafly. I'm a pot snob. Okay, I used to be a wine snob. Now I'm a pot snob. So like White Widow is energetic, talkative, creative. 36% reported.
Well, tell me about it. My brother doesn't stop talking.
Well, this one's talkative, creative, and energetic. So you see and this one helps. 36% people said it helped with stress. 28% say it helped with anxiety. 26% said that it helped with pain. Good. White Widow is an energetic hybrid. So I wish I could I know what I can do. I can type this in the chat.
Can I just play off my it's very brief, my experience with marijuana and other drugs, so then you can play off of it. Like I said, in high school, it made me kind of worried, thinking about things sort of like too much and in weird ways. And I think it's because I didn't have the forebrain development and neural pathways to hold up to it, and it sort of blew me away, and so it made me too shy, and I wasn't developing interpersonal skills to talk to women and so on. So I'm always advising people, teenagers anyway, to be careful. But then, so I didn't smoke in college, but after occasion, and then once I did sort of develop my my opinions and outlook enough, then I could handle and enjoy marijuana on occasion when somebody had it. Again, I wouldn't go out of my way for it, but I was able to enjoy it and like sort of laugh at its proposals of worry.
So it's really
one more thing I wanted to add. Having said all that, I still much prefer mushrooms to marijuana, because mushrooms are not as psychologically semi-harrowing the way that marijuana could be. And they're just
say that again. Say that again.
They're not as psychological, and not as kind of like a chore to that I find marijuana can be for me. I can enjoy it, but it takes some kind of like thinking that is not required in mushrooms, because mushrooms I can just surely enjoy them.
So it all depends on the strain, and back when you smoked it, I'm going to guarantee you, factually, it was nothing like today. Like we didn't even know the content of the THC. We did not know. I mean, the scientists and stuff did, but as far as people that just smoked weed like I did in the past, younger, things like that, experimenting, or, actually I've smoked it through my life, really. And nowadays you can look to see how much THC is in the product. You can get different strains that have a lower euphoria. Like when I'm growing, or
I believe you. I just want to interject one thing. I believe you, and even if it were the case that you merely handle marijuana differently than me, that would be perfectly all right as well. I wouldn't try to discourage you.
No, but the thing that I'm trying to teach you about is,
and I believe you. Go on.
if you, okay, like back in the day when my aunts all smoked weed, okay, they're probably 60, 65, somewhere in that area, right? They
And
all
your
smoked
mother was a
weed.
hippie too? Did your mother smoke?
Yeah, she did, yes. I remember her as a child with joints. But they didn't
Wow.
know what they were smoking back then. Like,
So
nobody
she
did.
must
What?
have been like a beatnik, like pre-hippie almost.
Well, she did like hip huggers and bare feet and,
Oh, I love hip huggers. Bring them
that
back.
kind of thing. But back then, we didn't have laboratories that tested this stuff. You didn't go in a dispensary and, or you couldn't look the strain up on Leafly to make sure that you're not getting a product that's through the roof in THC. You can
Yeah.
get products with CBG in them now, which is another cannabinoid that helps with pain. You can get CBN that helps with sleep. And when you pair that with THC, because of our endocannabinoid system that we have in our body,
Mm.
with our CB1 and CB2 receptors, the THC and the CBD or the CBN or the CBG, they attach to those receptors and then hook into our body's own endocannabinoid system.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's a whole thing. So,
Well, you got to know this with mushrooms too. I mean, if when I was in Amsterdam and I was smoking there too, of course, but
mhm.
they knew about the mushroom doses that I pointed. I wanted these Hawaiian mushrooms. They said that that's the most intense. I said I'd like 3, and they said, oh no you don't. You're gonna have just one of these. So it's important and I had that one, and it was really almost too much. My heart was pounding, and I was like on edge. It was good, but
Yeah,
if I had more, I would have been in trouble.
I
You
wouldn't.
got to know what you're doing with mushrooms too.
Oh, that's why I don't take any of that. I'm just now experimenting with cannabis edibles because I'm very much with anything. I'm instant gratification. I am. I just am. I'm
You're
instant
you're,
gratification.
admit, you're admitting it.
Oh yeah, totally.
What
I am not.
what do you like for the munchies? What do you like to eat along with it? What,
My
to,
new snack is the best. So you get a little bit of vanilla ice cream. Now I don't like vanilla ice cream any other way, okay? So I don't just go buy vanilla ice cream to eat vanilla ice cream. But for this recipe, you get some vanilla ice cream. I put mine in like a larger rounded base coffee cup.
mhm.
And I just put the vanilla ice cream in there. And then I have a Keurig. And then I put just one of my regular pods in there. And I put it on the espresso shot. And it pours right over the ice cream.
Mm.
And then I take some really yummy caramel sauce, thick sauce, and I drizzle it on the top. And
So
you
your
eat it with
caramel vanilla ice cream and espresso. Anything
yeah.
else?
No, it's easy. And it's so yummy.
Oh yeah.
And you want to make sure you have enough ice cream though in the bowl because otherwise you're going to end up with you know, melted ice cream.
Well,
I mean,
that's
that's what
another thing. That's
you
another thing that's
need.
been cultivated. Vanilla ice cream didn't used to be as good as it is now. They got the real pure vanilla in there.
Yeah, you
You
can
know,
get some really yummy. I only eat vanilla ice cream with like a root beer float or this new snack that I've been making.
oh, that can be good. A root beer float. Mm.
Yeah, I like those in the summer,
Oh yeah.
but this new little snack that I've created is pretty yummy.
What's that?
What's what?
Are you gonna? Oh, the one they were talking about, the vanilla. Yeah.
Yeah, the snack that I was just telling you about. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is Charles talking about? I don't know what he's talking about.
not sure. I'm not sure whether, frankly, whether Charles sorts as a friend or antagonist. He's said some things that are unfriendly in my last stream, but not
Oh,
not
okay.
not such that I'm worried about it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was just reading, going, what's he talking about? Maybe he's just talking about what's in his head, because I do that sometimes in chat too. Kind of. I mean, usually I'm pretty on
No,
topic.
he said, well, yeah, never mind.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good to me.
Oh, wait a minute. I might be wrong. This might not be the guy that I was thinking about. I was thinking about categorical imperative, not Charles. Sorry, I don't know Charles.
Gotcha.
He's
Okay.
new.
Okay. The little bell echoes to the great
Correction.
bell's groan.
Mirth, I know a lot. I've talked a lot with Mirth on the streams. He's on board with my platform. Okay.
Who was that one?
Mirth Baron? Mirth Baron's in
Oh, Murph. Yeah.
he lives in England, but he's of Irish extraction, and he's just a really smart guy who's
How cool.
trying to figure things out with me.
Okay. Gotcha. Nice.
But he's a real connoisseur. We were talking about how he likes blue cheese and a good beer and a what was the painter's name? Leighton, the guy who did the painting of called Accolade. Do you know the painting where they got the knight kneeling before the beautiful woman in a white dress, and she's putting a sword on his shoulder, and he's bowed down, and it's really painted in exquisite detail.
Oh yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, that's a
one. It's like a
right. That's called
mythical.
Accolade. That's Leighton. That's Charles Leighton, and he has many similarly great paintings. And so he was Mirth was discussing how the just as you might enjoy a joint and your ice cream and whatever other diversions, how he would like some blue cheese and a good beer and a Leighton painting.
I was gonna say this guy needs to stop honking the horn. Yeah, I like talking about random stuff.
Have you seen a letter to Brezhnev?
Seen what?
The movie A Letter to Brezhnev? I was recommending to Mirth. You must. That's a good one.
Gotcha.
Make a note of that. See that. You're part Irish. You'll like it.
Mirth isn't. I don't see him anymore.
He's probably here. He's not commenting.
Yeah. Sometimes when I listen to certain channels, I'll be like doing chores or working, and I just let it sit and play and listen, But today you were asking how your sound was, and I always like to know, and my chatters know. They tell me right away. They always tell me. They don't let me go on and sound like, they always tell me right away, you sound like you're in a tin can, and then I leave and come back real quick.
It's important.
It is, because you don't want to be, there's so many times we've sat there talking on mute. I mean, we just laugh at ourselves because there's nothing else you can do, right? I laugh at myself all the time.
Can you tell me more about your hippie mom? Was she a hippie in California?
She was, yeah.
In San Francisco?
No, San Jose area. Campbell, San Jose. My grandparents lived in San Jose.
That's not far. So she visited the hate anyway, yes?
She may not have at her age, no. She may not have gotten to do that.
Well, she was around. She was in the vibe. She had her bell bottom hip huggers. Yeah.
We had a lot of things up in our own Santa Cruz mountains, like the Chateau Liberate. I'm
Is that where
future, I want to do a show on Holy City because it's very meaningful to me and my family. But it's a little town right up in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Chateau Liberate?
A lot of our singers and celebrities came from. And they all partied up there and drank.
Is that where George Harrison went after he freaked out when he took LSD in the hate?
They all came from here. All of those, the Doobie Brothers, you name it. They were all.
I think that is. Yeah, I think I know the place you're talking about. George Harrison, when he had a bad LSD trip. That's the last time he did it. He went to Haight-Ashbury. He thought everybody
Probably.
looked like.
Well, they all traveled from
Yeah.
Haight-Ashbury through the Santa Cruz Mountains and would party at the chateau, including Janis Joplin. There's pictures of her up there.
I used to walk around the mountains above Berkeley, which is probably a similar affair. Which is neat.
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
Because I've spent some time in the Bay Area.
Okay. Yeah.
North Oakland,
Yeah, that's the
I went
big
to
city.
California College of Arts and Crafts, and
Yeah, so I am south of San Francisco. I'm in the middle of San Francisco and Monterey. You can see that on the map, like if you look up Santa Cruz.
Oh, I know where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to this place that you're talking about, unfortunately.
And then
I really regret one of the things. It's a digression, but one of the things I was forgetting. I will make up for it one day, is I will see Yosemite. While I was out there, I didn't go to Yosemite. That was so stupid of me.
Oh, if you want to see the boardwalk, I have a video up. I think I was doing doctor's appointments or something in Santa Cruz one day, so I live streamed all the way home.
Cool.
And we took the route by the boardwalk and the beach, so I filmed all that, so you can check out that video if you want to.
Alrighty. Is the sky ride still there? The one that this guy fell off of?
No, they've changed names on those roller coasters a lot of different times throughout the years. So they have the Big Dipper now. And what's the other one?
Well, some famous people have taught at University of Santa Cruz too. It's not.
Yes. That's further up than the boardwalk. Like you pass the boardwalk to get to that university. But that's here, yeah.
I remember the one day, and I was only in there for one day in Santa Cruz. In the cafe there, we were playing Steve Morris and the Dixie Dregs, who were a pretty good band. Good player.
We have a lot of bands around here that like to play, for sure. That's for sure.
Oh, he could really play. Steve Morris, he's became the guitar player for some other famous bands too. Anyway.
Nice. Well, I'm going to jump off of here. I'm going to finish some work. I've got about an hour. Well,
excellent. A pleasure talking to you, Angela. Thank you. Thank you for coming by and say hi again anytime.
Yeah, and you're welcome over in my chat too. There's some pretty smart people over there. We all like to have fun. We engage in different topics. Sometimes I have people come on the panel and we just bullshit from topic to topic to topic for 3 hours. Yeah, it's kind of.
So enjoy your smoke and enjoy your ice cream and
yes,
the rest of your business day.
Yeah, and you enjoy the rest of your day. And it was a really nice chat. I thank you for letting me come up here. Thank
you very much.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye for now.
All right. Bye.
Alrighty then. That was Angela. Let me take a look at what Charles has been saying here, because I mistook him for categorical imperative. Categorical imperative is the one that I'm not sure how to place, whether he's more of an enemy than he comes across. But Charles Michael Bellman has been saying, Mark, how are Shadow Mark, Daniel Manfrey? Here's some Spliffy is there. It's not likely to be a friend, but I have to give him a try. Probably a troll. Oh, hi, Mr. Spliffy. Who are you? Oh, it's Claire. Now I know that you like to smoke, Claire. You've said so. So you're no one to judge.
Well,
you do smoke. You have smoked. You have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't deny it.
Okay.
And I just had no idea about, the different varieties. I mean, the way, what's her name, was talking. She was
I perhaps
obviously
should let her talk more. about to sort out the varieties for us. But there's one thing about these smokers is that they really can get caught up into a lot of detail, which is fine. But I also wanted to structure things a little bit and let her elaborate another time when she comes back. She can inform me about these things.
Yeah, I suppose if you're going to choose these things, you want, light and energetic, or, heavy and deep. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like how you might describe, I don't know, pretentious people talking about wine. I mean, she said she's a wine snob, didn't she?
At one time, and then
Miss
she
Baker
changed
said.
to becoming a marijuana
Angela.
connoisseur.
Mhm.
Angela. Yeah. Well, it's not my thing. For one thing, you're putting smoke in your lungs. It's not really healthy. It's not something I'm going to take up in any super
It's
indulgent way.
probably, yeah, and I think it's not a good idea to drink and smoke as you get older because, I don't know, it might harm your faculties. I mean, I'm reminded of Margaret Thatcher. She did suffer from dementia. I don't
Yeah,
know
she
if you
did.
were aware of
Was
it.
it? Did she drink? Was that an
No,
exacerbating factor?
I think she enjoyed her whiskey in the evenings, perhaps too much.
Uh
Um,
huh. Yeah.
and Well, I mean, it's quite strong drink. It's not, just a glass of wine. And yes, I mean, towards the end, they said, she would. I mean, she liked chocolates, and then she'd forgotten that she just had one, so she'd have another, and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, sweets can really throw your system out. That's really, yeah, definitely put you into a coma. And
Mm.
and whiskey's all sugar too, so that'll mess you up. But I mean, she was old, right? So
Yeah, I mean, could have
maybe she
happened,
enjoyed herself. What the hell?
even without the drink, but I suppose, I mean, you do get warnings from doctors saying, well, better not, because it might, already harm your already delicate, physical condition as you were getting on a bit, and that there are all kinds of unexpected, well, things that might happen, if you fall over, and that kind of thing. So, because, well, as you get older, it hurts a little bit more, and you might break your hip or something. But I
Yeah,
think we should always mind how we
you might
go.
get cancer too if you keep smoking,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
diabetes if you keep eating all this sugar and sweet alcohol.
Everything in moderation, I suppose. But we just don't
So
know
when
what.
was the last time that you smoked, Claire?
Not that long ago.
Is it illegal in London?
I don't even know. I mean, it's hardly prosecuted these days. I
Well,
mean,
you're a
you walk past a bus
semi-lawyer.
station
Yeah.
and you smell
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, and of course, you know that if you call the cops, nobody, they just wouldn't bother. And maybe they only, try and catch the dealers, but not the users. Which is why they have this sort of, you found X number, well, grams or what ounces of, and that's for personal use, and that's okay. But any amount above that, you're dealing, that kind of thing.
Have you ever taken mushrooms?
Ages ago, it just made me all a bit sort of giggly for a bit, and then it was soon
Oh, it
over.
depends on the kind. Liberty caps will do that. You just laugh, but there's other
Mm.
kinds that are more of a trip, so to speak, hallucinogenic and body and a bit really nice state of mind. Music sounds better.
Oh yes.
Very warm, sensual. But as I was explaining to Angela, not as psychologically. How do I put this? Not as psychologically challenging as marijuana can sometimes be. It's not very
It can be,
psychological.
yeah. I mean, it can be a bit unexpected. You don't
Marijuana.
expect it to make you. You don't expect it to make you paranoid, but sometimes it does.
Yeah, and just too much worry. Plainly, not even necessarily like some paranoia as in thinking that people are against you. Just lack of confidence and worry near to the point of fear. Well, that's the way it was as I got
I
older.
suppose it just heightens,
handle
I suppose if you're feeling good, it would just heighten your sense of euphoria. But if you're already feeling down, it could just drag you down.
But what I'm saying is, mushrooms never did that for me. I've known people who've had bad experiences with mushrooms. I never have.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one drug that I would almost recommend, or that I would recommend, with of course, with the one caveat that you have to know the kind of mushroom and know what could be too much.
Well, if you eat
I've
it,
never had too much.
Right, because if you eat it, there's every danger of eating too much. But if you smoke, at least it's like, ooh, I won't have that next toke. Because it's almost you get it more. Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's like it's probably not a good idea to eat a whole, cannabis cake. But, if it's too much. If there's
No, I can enjoy marijuana now. If around had some and they wanted me to smoke with them, I would. It's just that I don't know. I don't like it enough to go out of my way for it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
And
same here.
you sort of have to go out of your way for it a bit.
Yeah.
But I not too long ago, I had friends who were smokers, and so it was not. It would come my way.
Yeah, and then you'd have friends, and then suddenly you lose touch with them. It's like, oh, I don't even know anybody. I can.
But one of my friends did have a problem with it, and he became one of these, like my brother, just a motor mouth, and kind of like a little bit hard to deal with when he was under the influence, and he was fairly addicted. He did have a problem.
What, talking too much?
Among other things, yeah. Just and
yeah, because that's not the kind of thing that happens. I mean, people kind of slow down, don't they? They're meant to slow down. They're not meant to speed up.
well, he would speed up. Right. My brother too. My brother. It's like the wall of sound, Phil Spector effect.
Yes, I suppose alcohol is more, I guess, regulated. We're more used to it because we've had it so many centuries, so we know how to. Well, supposedly, but I don't know really.
I'm not alone in being one who's made the biggest mistakes of his life under the influence of alcohol, probably, and gotten into some states of mind where I was really, borderline psycho when I was. On the other hand, you really don't want to be too clean. If you turn into, I don't know if you know who Ted Nugent is, but
it rings a bell, but I don't.
He's this rocker who never did any drugs or alcohol, and now he's this right winger. He has a radio show, and he's like, talks about guns and how he likes to go out and kill animals to make all the furry people to defy them all. And but he's really obnoxious, and he's really thin and narrow in his way of thinking, and you can tell he's logical, but there's no depth, and you can tell it's one of these guys is like never. He's not in contact with the older parts of the brain that you get into, whether it's from alcohol or other drugs. This is not the way. This is not the way you want to be. And I think, and one of the worst sociopath criminals that I've had the misfortune of coming across my life was that way. It was one of these people who never drank it or did any drugs. and just like real, calculating everything. All his forebrain was firing on all cylinders, and none of the depth and compassion and empathy, and connection to broader concerns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't recommend these people who don't do any drugs. I think that's, or never done any. Yeah, I think that's another extreme.
I mean, this is a story I've heard somebody who was an alcoholic and was saying basically, I missed out a whole bunch of stuff like, I don't know, TV, drama, the arts, because, they spent their time getting drunk.
Yeah,
So,
well, definitely.
and in a way, they missed up, parts of their life with them, and they could be learning about stuff, but of course they'd
Definitely.
forgotten. Or,
Alcohol is hard, but then again, you are sometimes you really are getting in contact with the old parts of the brain, so a little bit, I think it can be good. But yeah, you're right. It's that's a powerful drug, alcohol. It really is.
But also when people are drunk, I mean, there's just something so disgusting about them. It's like,
Definitely.
you made yourself like this, and you are disgusting. How could you?
Well, that's true.
Did it on purpose too.
And sometimes it doesn't help in romantic ways. Let's say.
Well, yes, can be disappointing. But the thing about knowing your limits is that, well, for me, it sort of, I'd probably sort of go a little over, and then it was, I think a bit later in life that I think, if I even finish that drink, I will be for it, and so I don't, and I will leave it, and it took me quite quite a while to realize exactly when.
Charles Michael Bellman says, Daniel, my friend, in the desolate time when your soul is enshrouded in darkness. Indeed, this is the way it has been at certain moments of deep inebriation, that I was really in a dangerous place, not dangerous, a precarious state of mind, almost dangerous. Yeah.
Yes, I suppose everything in moderation, even.
Well, you know what they say, that it's the people who are like the drunks who are getting into the raging fights, where the pot smokers just get the munchies, watch a movie, and go to sleep.
Well, I mean, so somebody said, I mean, people kind of work out the economics of it. Oh, drink is more expensive, or if you like to, drink in company, then you have to go to a pub or a bar, and that increases the cost. But if you just like smoking and watching TV and then going to bed, that, and I suppose that might create a low expectation of life, because that's what you prefer to do, and that's what you do, and it becomes a habit, and then you become this sort of low expectation person. But
It's kind of surprised me, though. I don't know if you're familiar with this channel, Soft White Underbelly, but this guy Mark Leda is interviewing all these people with heroin addiction. Yeah, well, they become prostitutes, and because they got to pay for their heroin addiction. And what's the other thing that they're doing? This other
meths?
Not meth. That's been there's this other kind of opioid thing that's supposed to be even worse than heroin, but they get onto that because it's cheaper or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't believe how many people are hooked on this stuff. It's I mean, it's just one thing that it's a joke of mine to make the gesture like shooting a needle, because I can't believe anybody would do that. Really,
Yeah, because it's not something you'd want that you'd want to do. It just looks so
it's so
disgusting,
unnatural.
cringy.
Yeah, and dangerous. Some foreign object into your bloodstream.
Yeah.
People surprise me.
And of course, they must hate themselves and hate their lives in order to do that to themselves, in order to feel good.
Well, they say that the heroin experience, I've never done it, of course, but that they feel no pain for the first time. All pain is gone when they experience that first
It's a
rush.
kind of physical, all over orgasm kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that if I ever did, it would have killed me right away, because it's probably closely related to like sesame seeds and poppy seeds, which I'm allergic to. So it probably would have just killed me.
Or got you hooked. I mean, maybe that is the most dangerous thing. If it doesn't kill you immediately, it gets you hooked.
Well,
but I mean, there are addictions that are not substance abuse problems, like gambling. That can also destroy lives, and it's a behavioral addiction.
That's on, they say, the worst, the most addictive reinforcement schedule, gambling. That's why they get hooked. It's just perfect addiction schedule. But I mean, I just really, really sad when I see these women who could be good wives becoming prostitutes hooked on heroin. It's devastating.
Well, too many people destroy their lives, and what is so evil is that school children are encouraged to. Well,
what about your friends?
These are the drugs you could be
What
taking.
about your friends, Claire, the Sacklers? And their Purdue, their phony Purdue medical reports about how innocuous oxytocin is, and that a lot of people get hooked that way because of your friends and
not my friends,
and their business their friends and their business in Afghanistan there.
They're not my friends. But everything is potentially addictive. And you can say, well, the pill was a very bad thing and it's not addictive. But, a lot of people are addicted to the idea that they have the right to enjoy, premarital sex. Maybe that's also very dangerous for your society in the long run, which people never see. And then when the effects are all around them, they'll deny that that's a problem. They'll blame, well, something else, maybe even the Jews.
Well, we know that your friends are never responsible for any problem.
Well, you're just concentrating on the fact that they're Jewish, but it's sort of, well, so what if they were so what if they were Gentile? It's still a problem.
Well, you don't see any connection or any pattern there. Well,
because
others of us do. And that's a well documented, very, very corrupt enterprise. How they doctored all the medical research and Purdue Pharma, and they controlled these medical journals and they bribed all these doctors and given them incentives to prescribe.
They've always done that,
No, they haven't always done that. No, the medical field in general is very high ethical standards for the most part. The Hippocratic Oath, do no harm.
Well, they don't follow anymore.
Clearly the Sacklers had other priorities than the
Well, I mean, the
health and
vaccines.
well-being of people in Appalachia have been devastated
All
by
kinds of things
stuff.
like,
Your
what's happening?
friends,
No,
your
what's it?
friends did this. You're always defending your friends. That is, if you
If
still
there should
have
be
any
a law against
after
something,
what you did
then
last
obviously, neither Jews nor Gentiles should be doing this thing that you're finding objectionable. What's that blue pill thing that men like to take for their girlfriends? I
night.
forget what it's
Viagra.
called. That's the one.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of money to be made from that. Or, maybe it's in the long term harmful to men.
Yeah, but that was invented by white people.
Right. Oh, so it matters, but I think that there's certain rules that you shouldn't even be doing this thing because what you're doing is wrong. For, you know, like it was only too predictable that the contraceptive pill would eventually lead to the culture that we have now, because I know
Yes.
from the beginning they said only married women could take the pill, and then I get it was a matter of time saying, well actually, unmarried women want to take the pill. It is for them that it was really made for, blah blah blah, and they started taking it, and then you have all the degenerate
Well, what do? You have
immoral
to ride the tiger in the end. I mean, you take the good about the pill, and it's the same thing with pornography. You can't put the toothpaste back, or you can't put whatever.
We can ban it. I mean, that's
Not really. I mean,
why
and
not?
you at first it's horrible, and it is horrible. But you also find in pornography, you can see people who are like yourself and doing just fine, and you know you're less paranoid that you're uh, alone, and it's and so it can be you know reinforcing and confirming as well. It's not only and it's because you're watching it doesn't mean that you are participating in it, and that you are necessarily condoning it. Even it just might be
Well,
like
if you're
a
watching
version.
something, that is a sexual offense, then you are,
Well, yeah, I mean, of course,
sucked into it.
I wouldn't even watch child porn.
No,
Of
no,
course
but
not.
I suppose from a religious perspective, fornication is already a sexual offense. So you're watching it, and therefore you are, buying into it. I mean, if you want to consider it a sexual offense, I know, you're far from doing that, but I think, fornication is, you hear of gateway drugs, so you have gateway sexual offenses.
Yeah, I mean, but like it's there and it's done. Um,
And the thing is, I don't know if you. This is actually a legal concept of latent damage. So the damage has been suffered, but it cannot, reasonably be discovered until a few years later. It usually applies to sort of buildings. You shoddy workmanship, but you don't know that that there's something
well, I
wrong with
think
the
it's I
building
think it's
until later.
weird. I have to remind myself that no, like the vast majority of people don't do this because it's hard to believe when you see so many people and normal looking and of course good looking people doing porno. And I remember a time when you didn't even see this. I remember a time when I didn't know what a vagina looked like because it just was not available even in magazines.
Hmm.
First time I saw that was in Hustler magazine in 1972 or three or something. It's like,
Hmm.
wow, there it is.
Hmm.
Now it's like that and everything.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm sure there's certain buildings that look like a vagina. I think there was this female architect, and she built something that suggested
I don't know where that came from, but anyway, the thing is that it's I
It
never would
cheapens
have
it.
with the mindset of the people around me, I never would have and the way that the females in my life, my mother and sister and others, were, so kind of angry, in issues surrounding that. I never would have expected so much participation of, for all in all other ways, normal looking women doing this. That's another thing. At one time, you didn't see, if a woman was doing this, she was going to be a dog, pretty much. Debbie Does Dallas was the first time you saw like a kind of like, it's one of the first times you actually saw like a really good looking woman doing porno. And now it's commonplace. It's not something I would have anticipated. And it's not something I did anticipate. It does kind of, it messes up the, it does mess up the incentive structure, which I was always worried about.
Well, I mean, it says it doesn't, destroy relationships, men. It actually, in a long-term relationship with a wife, would actually prefer porn to actually having sex with his wife.
Really?
So, yeah, you hear of that because they can't get, they have to, they need the extreme stimulation that porn does, and, ultimately sex with, a long-term sex partner just doesn't do it anymore, and so it does even destroy their relationships.
Well, that doesn't have to, I wouldn't seem to think that has to destroy your relationship. I mean, in a way, if you don't. So, what if you're married and you don't have sex 4 times a week anymore? So what?
Well, it's fine if both parties are happy, right?
Right.
I mean that is the whole thing. It's reciprocal. I mean, 4 times if both, or whatever many times, or 0 times, as long as both parties think it's okay. It's only when one party isn't happy that things start to go wrong.
Mm.
And I've been saying that this sort of, the idea of the marriage license was in fact a license to have sex and children with your spouse. And
Right.
now they don't call it the marriage license anymore. They call it the marriage certificate. So this connection is also lost. But I mean,
What's really interesting to me, and I find it so. To me, I find it under discussed and reported. So many people are getting divorced, and people who you think, how could this person possibly get divorced? How could, Johnny Depp get into a relationship where he's going to get divorced? How could, these people, these are like the perfect people, how, and yet they can't make it work.
Jennifer
So
Aniston.
I wonder like why people are getting divorced. And
Because they always think something's better around the corner. I mean, there's a horrible dating website in the UK called Plenty of Fish. So, it already gears, its customers
more
to
fish in the sea, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. So there's always something better around the corner. Don't stay with your current one because, go for the next one.
Mm.
And so it encourages people to treat their relationships like, well, disposable condoms, use
Well,
pieces of tissue.
my sister was a divorce attorney, and that's what she said, is that people that cheat, they think they're going to get away with it.
Or they tell lies about, what make false accusations in the hope of getting a better settlement.
You know. Yeah, well, Johnny Depp, he was married to this exquisite French woman, her eyes going in different directions and all this kind of exotic stuff. But he was lured away by Amber Heard, But then again, it seems that
She's horrible.
his former wife wasn't devastated. It's moved right on. So she must not have loved him too much either, even though she had a couple of kids with him.
Well, I guess she must have got a good settlement, so I guess it doesn't hurt too much. But Amber Heard, I mean, what do you think of her? She's such a bitch. I mean, I don't know. I mean, did you?
Yeah,
did you
she's
feel
bad,
anything?
but I'm not. To be honest, I'm not very interested in this case. This is my first time discussing it. It's offhand topic, but I've never heard anybody say what I'm going to say, which is that her testimony to me made Johnny Depp sound really bad. Like I always thought that it made it seem to me like he made a mistake bringing this lawsuit against her, because he was going to lose the way she was talking. Oh, Johnny, I don't see Johnny. He's a monster and he's out of control when he's hit. And maybe she's just a good actress, but I was believing her that she was really afraid of him and for him when he was under the influence of all these drugs and stuff. And she described things in such detail that I found her somewhat credible, even though not many people are talking that way. Not that I care. I mean, I hope he wins. What the hell? Like I said, who the hell is she? Why should she have $100 million from him? What the hell did she do? But yeah, no, I thought that he. I don't think that he had a good foot to stand on to begin with. I mean, what's he saying? Oh, I'm a man, and this woman was beating me up and calling me names and shitting on my bed. It doesn't sound like much of a man. He's not looking good through this. Not to me.
Well, if it's true that she sat on his bed, well, she's not a very nice person.
I mean, if you're supposed to be a man that commands sympathy, there's a double standard. This, just as there's a double standard that was a double standard but was fair in that it's more okay for a man to be promiscuous than a woman, because a woman can have sex easier. So if she's promiscuous, she's a bully, right? That's the old double standard. What's also double standard when it comes to hitting, that it's okay if a woman smacks a man if under extreme circumstances, but not okay for a man to smack a woman. That's a double standard, but it's fair. Just like the double standard of promiscuity or relative promiscuity was fair, because a guy is being
because it makes sense.
A guy is he's taking on a challenge, and he's being a bit sporting if he's trying to be flirtatious and mess around, whereas a woman, it's not much of a challenge at all. She's being a bully. So it's a double standard, but early feminists were complaining about this double standard, and they were kind of out of line, because again, it's a reasonable double standard. But it goes the other way when it comes to physical beating, and that's why I don't think that Johnny Depp was proposing a very sympathetic argument.
Well, I wasn't. I mean, I'm not listening to it every day. I only caught a little bit of it, and she was saying, there's Johnny drunk, and he's, and here he is again, and I thought it sounded very manipulative, like she was just really, throughout her marriage, just collating evidence and making sure, she took pictures of him looking bad, and
Yeah.
I think it sounded very manipulative. I haven't actually heard.
I believe that.
But the more attractive person would always get more sympathy.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't doubt for a second that she's not exactly a very good person.
It's just
she had this one executive secretary woman that was testifying against her, and it was like really cut her down. It was very sexy in her kind of like stateliness and no nonsensical denunciation of Amber Heard in defense of Johnny Depp.
Do you remember her name? I'll try and listen to that one.
What did they call them? A personal assistant?
Okay.
It was Amber Heard's personal assistant, and she was indignant because she was only getting $25 or $50 an hour or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she was a character. It was an Australian lady, and really hard. Beautiful, beautiful, but like in a very tough way. It was in a very cut and dried way.
I see. So this Australian woman was saying Amber Heard was a terrible woman.
Absolutely, unequivocally,
and she was convincing, in your view.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I sort of saw the way she carried herself. It's almost as if she was dressed to.
The way she's dressed is
that
silly.
she was wearing was just so theatrical.
Yeah, true. True.
It jarred,
Like they want to try to make her look frumpy and traditional. Yeah.
Mm. And it wasn't, but it's so designer like that.
They did that with Hillary Clinton too in her debates with Trump. That really made her look like a cartoon.
Well, she was terrible. I mean, Trump, I thought it was a simple message, and he managed to say it quite well. And she had no argument. That was my memory of it. I can't remember what it was about now.
I don't know if she was even addressing his arguments, but yeah, no, I was just talking about her clothes, not that debate. I didn't mean to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, so I'm going to.
You're going to go. I just wanted to.
Therefore, rejoice, O Daniel, my friend, and sing in the darkness of sorrow. Night is the mother of day, chaos the neighbor of God. It's not bad. I don't mind this guy's commentary. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll sing in the. That's one thing that I learned to do. I never had a problem with cocaine. Never did it a lot. Probably 20 to between 20 and 30 times in my whole life. And the reason why I wouldn't do it is because, or I was able to intellectualize it. You become extremely depressed. It's called jonesing when you come down off of the cocaine high, because the cocaine crystal assimilates the natural endorphins that your brain has, but and so your brain stops producing them because it has it thinks, but the cocaine crystal wears off sooner, so that when it does wear off, you have nothing's pleasurable about life. It's just misery, total misery. Such that it's my first hypothesis that when someone has killed themselves, they were coming down from cocaine. It could be that bad. I've talked to heroin addicts who said coming down off of cocaine is worse than coming down off of heroin. It can be that bad. However, I was able to, the last time I did it, I just got into it. I just got into the depression, the wallowing of it, and went with it, and understood that I was just, this was the result of the cocaine, and just endure and go to sleep. And by the same token, why spend $100 to end up depressed? It makes no sense, and so I didn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it costs more. More.
Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, and also, I did it one more time after that. It's a funny incident.
Mhm.
Polish guy that was in Belmar, New Jersey.
Mhm.
And I ran into this guy who was working at the sandwich shop. And we got to talking, and he came by visit, and it turns out he's like got a little problem with crack, which is a kind of a street form of cocaine that's formed into little balls or something you're supposed to smoke. And he asked me for $5 to go get some.
Hmm.
Okay, Tom, go get some. And he goes up to the black section of in Asbury Park, New Jersey, gets the crack. He comes back with this big black eye. He probably had some negotiations in the past with these blacks, and that's what happened. It's not he's not saying anything about it. He's just like kind of like
I command.
the course of doing business. He's got this huge black eye,
Mhm.
and so it's you can smoke some with me. So he breaks it apart and he puts it in the bowl, and he smokes his, and then I smoke mine, and I cough because it's horrible. It tastes like you imagine you would if smoking hairspray would. It was disgusting. And they give this really speedy effect. It wasn't like cocaine, and I coughed, and the remainder of my piece of crack goes out onto into the shag rug that we had, and of course Tom's on his hands and knees, like snorting the shag rug, trying. Priceless. I mean, it's like it was worth every penny of the $5. And then he goes after that. After he's snorting my shag rug, he runs into the bathroom and he's drinking my mouthwash because there's alcohol in the mouthwash.
Oh dear.
And then he asked me if he can have the porno magazine. That's in, can I have this? And this is my lovely Polish American friend.
Right. Well, you must mix with a better class of people. Or try.
Well, trying not to be a snob. I'm a communitarian. So, and he was a. I don't know, it's kind of like an engineering student. So in some senses, he was. Doing the responsible thing. We did go to a bar together and sat there and one kind of, I don't know, not great looking woman, but healthy or something walks by and points to me and says, and gives me the thumbs down. And points to Tom as if now this is a guy that I like. And it's not like maybe a bit taller than me, not like a real good looking guy or something, blonde or he, but it was funny to me thinking about like how she was saying that this is a respectable guy and you're not. After I just had this experience where the guy's snorting my rug to get the last bit of crack cocaine with his black eye, having been beaten by the ghetto thug that he was buying it from, because he was so and having to endure that because he was so desperate for crack cocaine. And she's walking by as the big expert on who is a worthy specimen of manhood. That's but that's my last full year in New Jersey in America in 1997.
Well, how would you describe New Jersey as a county? I mean, I can only think of the Sopranos.
It's a state.
Right.
New Jersey is a state.
It's a small state, isn't it?
It's the size of Israel. It's about the size of Israel.
Right.
It's one of the most densely populated states. It's got about it's have like 17 million people in this one pretty small area. It's a suburb. It's the suburb of New York and Philadelphia on one side. We don't consider Philadelphia a real city compared to New York. It's part of. I was in it's called the megapolis. It's where you don't really have green spaces. It's just one kind of town after the other, bleeding into each other for miles. You start with New York City, then there's the Hudson River, and then there's just pretty crowded town after pretty crowded town. About 12 miles on, you get to my city, which was Montclair, which is perched on the side of the Watchung Mountains, which are that part of the Appalachian Range that come up from West Virginia and eastern Tennessee and parts of Georgia, then go all the way up to Maine. But it's very beautiful topographically. If you take everything out, it's very beautiful. Vegetation and topography, rocks and formations and that sort of thing. And at the top of the Watchung Mountain, where the very west side of Montclair, my town, is Upper Mountain Avenue, really rich, fabulous mansions like English Tudors imported piece by piece from England, and Steven Spielberg had a house there, and many like famous people have lived up there. And it overlooks New York City in the distance, and anyway, it takes a while before you get into green spaces. You have to go a few more towns still beyond the Watchung Mountains even before you have anything. And this is what it's like. It's the megapolis. It's a vast extension of New York City, really. And then as you go southeast, you have the shore, which is beautiful. I mean, people can make fun of the Jersey Shore. We talk about the Italian contingent there, and it's some truth to the stereotype, but it's really it's beautiful. The Jersey Shore is very nice, and the ocean is fantastic. And that what New Jersey gets its bad reputation for, and deservedly so, is that you have the turnpike and the oil refineries and the industry and the stench, and Newark, which is a really black city that was destroyed by, and East Orange, which is totally black. These places which are just kind of nightmares. I was born in Newark. There's a little Italian part of it still. Other parts were destroyed, literally by the project that E. Michael Jones described, the death of the cities. There was an agreement, as he describes, to bring blacks in and to destroy the Catholic communities, because they were, according to Jones's theory, they were resistant to the Anglo and perhaps kosher designs to make America more individualistic or something, and easily controlled.
But where did the black people come from?
They wouldn't have this Catholic resistance. Anyway, so Newark was destroyed, is what I'm saying, in the same way that E. Michael Jones describes in The Death of the Cities, even though he doesn't describe Newark in particular. That's where I was born, and it's a nightmare. It's just a horrible place, Newark. There were these riots there in the 60s, and East Orange is, like, in a way, even scarier. If you want to inhabit a completely alien universe, you'll go to East Orange, New Jersey, and it's all cement and pavement, and there's some older architecture still there that was nice, but it's such an oppressive atmosphere, and so psychologically daunting to realize it's right next door. This is the weird thing. You have nice suburban places and parks in Montclair next to this kind of science fiction nightmare. There are black parts of Montclair too, which are not exactly nice, but the town of itself, the parks, the grand houses of many different kinds, beautiful. You have this kind of these kind of weird juxtapositions in New Jersey of really horrible and really nice and really convenient. And the Brookdale Park, which is where the hippies used to gather back then. Academic agent was saying that the hippies were only 1 square mile in San Francisco and one square mile in Soho, and some book told me so it must be true. No, that's where my sister used to take me as a kid to be with her hippie friends. It was really nice. And our house was nice. We had some space and trees around it, and Christmases and just very very quaint setting in our little Dutch colonial house. So I mean,
is it still there, the Dutch colonial house, or has it been?
Not quite like it was, but it's partly my father's fault because my father chopped off the porch and took that piece of land that I was talking about and built a house. This was a good economic move, but he put it in a big square box of a house, a big hideous thing. Which my family got it up the interior nicely, but you could never overcome the affront of this giant, perfectly square thing that my father built amidst all these houses that were built in 1925 with character. It was an embarrassment. It really was, but it was a good economic move. And then I've noticed that next door to it, the Adams house, which was another kind of Dutch kind of house, was torn down to put up some sort of like a condo type blocks, surprisingly almost as bad as the house my father built. So no, it's not the same street, even though the little house that I was born into was it's still there without the porch and without the land surrounding. So it's lost a lot. On the other hand, it was that property we found was upon radon. There's radon in the soil there. So the combination of smoking and radon is deadly. So people all over the place were getting cancer and dying from it. My mother, my sister, and the lady who bought the house after we moved next door, she got cancer. She was Bruce Willis's teacher at Montclair State until she died. And
so it was because of air pollution?
No, radon.
What's that?
Radon is a naturally occurring radioactivity in the soil.
Okay. And
scientists have found that when people smoke cigarettes and they're exposed to that at the same time, that it's a lethal combination. They're liable to get cancer. So it wasn't just people from my house, but all over that block, people were getting cancer. Okay. So it's New Jersey. It's New Jersey, and it's it's overcrowded, and people don't like it, and the taxes are prohibitive, and but there are things to like about it. Like I said, really amazing houses if you can afford them, but yeah, I mean, it's too many of the demographics that I would not want to have to deal with, or the one in particular that I would not want to have to put up with if I had any choice. And you have to, and it's but on the other hand, you get a sample of the reality, and you know what you're talking about. Whereas, people who don't have these experiences, think that you are talking this way because you're ignorant, when in fact they're the ignorant ones.
Mhm.
You know, Glib Medley is here. You're one of your friends. He
He's
said, I
also
had a freshman college roommate. He said, I had a freshman college roommate. My screen just went dark. Italian from Ridgewood, New Jersey. He used to brag about how his father was in construction. Quote, construction. Give you a pair of cement boots, right? Throwing in the lake. Lots of South Asians in New Jersey now. Yeah,
you know what
I
you said
noticed.
about you said about all these sort of immigrant groups coming through. I think it's just, par for the course that different groups over different times would pass through. I mean,
Well, that's what they
London,
would
the
say.
East End of London would once upon a time, the Huguenots, and then the Jews, and then now the
Oh yeah.
Asians.
Well, your friends would love to hear that kind of talk, Claire. And what else is good about it? I lived in Jersey City for 6 months in 2004. It was an underwhelming experience. Well, no doubt. My sister's law office was in Jersey City. That's not a nice city. It's really dirty and Puerto Rican and industrial. The highlight was the blackout. Nice view of the stars over the deep, dark Manhattan skyline. Yeah, that's the only thing about perhaps the only good thing about Jersey City is that it's so close to New York. It's right across the river. That's where Goldman Sachs is. Your friends, at Goldman Sachs, they have a big tower in Jersey City. Your friends, who have now been surpassed by your other friends at BlackRock. What's the guy's name? Larry Fink.
Well, it's the American
Your
East India
friend.
Company, really, isn't it?
Your friend. What's the
I,
American East Indian Company?
well,
BlackRock.
the British had the East India Company, which is really a company, that they fulfilled the purposes of British imperialism. I think in the end they were nationalized or something
Well, of course,
because they were
imperialism is
privateers. That was what it
all
was.
steered by your friend.
Well, I think if usury were abolished with secular Quranism, everything would settle down. And,
Well,
and
we are going to be the only ones who don't do usury in the end. You know that. Just like your other friend, what's her name? What's this lady's name that used to be friends with Jen
Jen,
Sharf? Jen Sharf used to say that it's only the Gentiles who will not be
you know
doing usury.
my answer to the
Are you
Jewish
still friends
question.
with her? What happened there?
Well, no, she blocks me. She just, she sees me on Facebook, Twitter, and anywhere. She blocks me. And
I haven't seen anything from her in many months.
I think she's mostly on Discord now, or in the T-Jump Discord server. But I don't go to Discord now because the conversation is even more chaotic and nonsensical.
I found them very boring, especially what's his name, Duvid. I can't listen to him.
A weekend review. I mean, occasionally it's comical when he has a go at her and he criticizes her.
Well, something like that is supposed to be entertaining, but I'm not going to wade through the rest of it just for that.
No, and the hour's long now, and it's usually about stuff you're not. Well, that has nothing to do with politics. The other time David was trying to talk about the shooting, and Jen kept shutting him up because she was afraid of getting a strike. I didn't know that.
You mean about the Buffalo
Yeah.
shooting? Oh,
Yeah.
and they have that gay guy who was really boring too. I don't want to hear him.
Well, Vincent Bruno.
Ugh.
Well, actually, he's quite okay. I quite like him. He's a
I
good
don't.
streaming partner.
Totally boring. Nothing.
Well, because what he proposes is so satanic. Because he's basically thinking of a different
That's
way.
boring.
I like it. Okay, but anyway, he does care about the rules, and I think he's engaging with me properly because I am talking about the rules, which nobody cares about, which is annoying. But have you heard me and this white Muslim woman that I'm talking to? Have you heard any
No,
of? She's quite
no,
interesting.
Claire. I'm sorry to say I haven't gone to your channel in
Yeah,
months either.
you've blocked me. You've hidden
Yeah,
me, haven't you?
yeah, and I'm talking to you just casually tonight, but as a rule, if it was going to be a serious discussion, well, Claire, I've got to move on to people who are on the ball of my concerns, and you're in another tangent there with your secular Coranism stuff. It's not going to happen that I somehow furtively engraft that.
Well, I've met this woman and she supports it.
Well, you got one then anyway.
Yeah, yeah, and it's well, I think it's very hopeful.
And she's white.
Yes, she's white and American and middle class. The voice of middle America.
She's one of these weirdos that was the audience of Betty Friedan. The kind of frustrated, alienated housewife in the suburbs who taking pills and trying to cope with her alienation.
She's very sensible. She's actually very sensible. Do have a listen if you have time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. She sounds like, I don't know, somebody's mum or something, sensible lady. So I'm very happy to have met her.
She's a lesbian?
Oh, she's married.
No.
Why do you say that? Why does everybody say that? You just have such filthy minds.
Wishful thinking.
All right, Daniel.
She should be more kinky. Yeah.
I know she's very
Nice
nice.
talking to you, Claire. Congratulations on having an adherent now and an interlocutor on your SK.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I felt I had to announce that on your channel.
Okay. So everybody knows now.
Yes.
All right.
All, 3 people watching?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I get hundreds and thousands of uploads afterwards.
Okay.
So bye, Claire. Thanks.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
We're going to say goodbye to everybody for now. Thank you all. And we'll talk to you soon.